Good day all. It is exactly 4:44 on the 2nd of the 12th, 2024. So they tell us. I picked this time deliberately. Been sat here waiting, ready to record deliberately. This is a Self-Preservation Society, unless you're watching on YouTube, where it is Truth and Awareness, and Rumble as well. I'm Basil, broadcasting Truth and Therapy, BBTT. Here I am using the talking stick. And I'm continuing number 7 in my Manifesto of Man series. And the title, come to me some more when I was out with Shelley, posed a question to her. If life ain't worth fighting for, then what is the point of living? And that's how I'm going to be going on in this presentation. And I'll remind you of a quote from Dr. Lee Merritt. There are 2 types of people in this world. Those being paid and those being played. And what I seek to establish is which category you fall into. And a few other things. And might be confrontational. Please do not expect me to apologise for that, because I won't. I really won't. If life isn't worth fighting for, then what is the point of living? Answers on a postcard, please, to do I look like I give a fuck? And I do. I do. That's why I do this. Why do you do what you do? Because your masters tell you? I'm asking a question. Why do you do what you do? I do what I do because it is the calling of my soul. It is, for me, everything my soul represents. To find the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to find purpose. And then the purpose of life is to find meaning, inextricably linked. And I seek to comprehend, understand that, and become aware of that. And I record it on this, my main Bitchute channel, and others, but all my work's here, as a sort of diary, really, but also to pose philosophical questions and trying to get another to actually think and to have a thought and to seek to understand that thought instead of thinking what one is told and believing what one is told. There's some interesting memes coming up as I go through. And I ask you to pay attention to them. And as I've said before recently, don't believe a word that I say, that you hear from me here. Don't discount a word that I say that you hear from me here. Remember everything that I say. And come to your own awareness, because you're not me and I'm not you. You wouldn't want to be me, and I wouldn't want to be you. I have enough trouble coping with this physical incarnation as it is. I wouldn't want to take on your burdens as well, and you wouldn't want to take on mine. But if life isn't worth fighting for, then what is the point of living? And I've been perusing that question since I spoke to Shelley this morning and raised it. And I've been thinking about loads of different things, and that surely they will all be connected in some way, shape or form. For instance, 15 minutes ago, I was thinking why this culture, this civilization we know and are taught as the ancient Egyptians, and we're told that they built the pyramids. We know they didn't, but we're told they did, as tombs. Never found a body in any of them. However, in that ancient Egyptian culture, what we have come to find, like with Howard Carter in 1926, when he discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun, that particular pharaoh was buried with loads and loads of treasure, amongst other things, gold, this, that and the other, to take to the afterlife. And there is a life's lesson there for all of us. We seek to accrue all these things, these riches, this, that and the other, this wealth, as intimated by gold and possessions, this, that and the other, while we're here. But Howard Carter discovered that despite how you're perceived, how you think, what you think you are, this, that and the other, you cannot take those physical components with you when you pass from this reality. Many of those graves of those pharaohs had been robbed long before. Howard Carter was very lucky to discover that one. But they'd been robbed, and the spoils had been sold and recirculated, this, that and the other. That's all we ever do. Recirculate. Recycle. Now and again we have a revolution. And that is a question, a point I'm going to try to make very clear to you. I've said in recent uploads that I'm willing to be the Albert Pierpoint of our day, to take on my soul's journey, the karma that will be required in order to physically end the incarnations of those that have caused harm, loss or injury. If it's proven that they have done so in a common law court, not in one of their courts. Again, it's worth mentioning that in the Dictionary of Arts and Sciences in the 1800s, legal was defined as undoing God's law. And for those of you that just come to me, I know this is going to sound repetitive to those of you who listen to me. I'm not religious, right? So when I make a quote like that, right, it is far deeper than what you have been conditioned to accept that it is. Every god I've ever studied turns out to be at best an ET or an alien, and at worst a dark demonic spiritual being that is here to harvest the energy, frequency and vibration of the natural man, the natural world. In the Bible, that they tell you is God's word, it says in a passage, the giants of old lay down with the daughters of men. What did they create? From the daughters of men, they created human beings, which is what you are. Now, it's an allegory, people, and you have to look beyond the Bible to where most of the Bible comes from, far, far more ancient writings, especially in the Old Testament, and see that it comes from the Sumerian cuneiform texts and Epic of Gilgamesh, the Enuma Elish, and all different ancient writings and texts, including, to a greater or lesser degree, the Vedic texts. You've got to look at all these things, and you will learn, as I've learned, you will become aware, as I've become aware, and many others have, that we're just perpetuating a cycle. But in that cycle, these beings, giants of old, lay with the daughters of men and whatever, and come up with human beings. Now, it's written differently. If you've never come across this, we were 250 years ago created through genetic modification, and you'll see a great meme from that as we go on, between different species to create human beings. But you've got to go on your own journey for this. I'm speaking from my 40 years journey, minimum 40 years journey, if not 64. And you've got to come on your own. And you've got to do it. It's not going to be easy, but you've got to do it. But even the most indoctrinated of you that are taking the jabs, this, that, and that, surely you must realise that something is wrong. And if you don't, then it is my contention that you have no soul. You're just a spiritual being in this avatar, this physical avatar. And I've spoken enough about that in the past. Spend some time on my channel. If you're watching anywhere other than the Bitchute channel, there's a link to it below in the description box, including my contact details and lots of other really good, relevant information, I feel. There are no forests on earth. Adolf Hitler, the greatest story never told. And loads of other stuff. Loz's Wellness Store. And loads of other stuff. Go and have a look at it. And peruse the question. You know, you can debate and argue with me all you like, and you're welcome to do so. But if you prove to me that you're one of those that would say, if they were doing that, they'd tell us, I'll just completely ignore you at best, or you know, at least, or maybe even block you, because I have no time for people anymore. It's getting to that stage where I can't hang about banging my head against a brick wall. If you're willing to come to challenge everything that you believe, know, and whatever, then I'm willing to walk that journey with you. And if I can help in any way to empower, enlighten and enable you, that's what I do here on my channel. But if you're not, you know, then I'll just move on. But I've been rather outspoken with this thing, and the time is now. You know, I'm not calling for a revolution. The French tried it. The Russians tried it. The Chinese tried it. You know, doing away with their ruling classes, this, that, and the other, only to replace it with another. That's what revolution means. I'm talking about evolution, to evolve past that, to evolve past needing somebody outside of us to hold us accountable. You individually, we individually have to evolve and take responsibility for our own words, deeds and actions, and become accountable for them. All of us. That's the only way to evolve. Otherwise, you'll just be having a revolution. Same shit, different day. We've got to evolve past that. And we've got to sort the wheat from the chaff. Starts with us. I keep telling you this, I keep saying this, you cannot get angry with that which is going on outside of you and be justified in that anger if you're still carrying demons and shadows that you haven't dealt with inside of you. You've got to man up. My fellow human beings, you have to man up and face your greatest enemy, which is yourself, before you can ever hope to achieve anything by facing the enemies outside of you. It's the truth, my friends. I have evolved to this state over the course of this incarnation, which will count as 64 years next month. And I continue to do so. I don't profess to have all the answers, and I certainly don't profess to be the panacea to the problems outside of me. However, not on my own anyway. However, if those like me are doing the deep shadow work, facing their demons, this, that, and the other, we hold the key. We hold the key of that. There is no doubt in my mind. We hold the key. And all we got to do is turn the lock and open the door and walk through. Go within first, into the very depths of our essence and our soul, through the mind, the ego, and all the indoctrination therein. Beyond that, and not be blinded by our own light, as I've told you I was when I walked through that forest at Westwood, that Limminge Forest at Westwood. I now realise that that light being that took me to my knees was my essence, and me in the physical was overcome by the power of my own essence, in the same way that Neo was to start with. It's an interesting thought that's just come to me. And again, please don't think I'm being conceited or arrogant or whatever. I'm not. I'm speaking with as much humility as I can in order to empower, enlighten and enable you. That's for you also. Otherwise you'll keep reincarnating, re-this, re-that, re-anything else. It's time to evolve, people. And to evolve, we've got to sort the wheat from the chaff within the self. Then us, and only us, can cleanse and purify the darkness outside of us, those that seek to rule and control us and own us, in the seen and the unseen, the heard and the unheard. I want to stop briefly. Look at that on the right. That's what Mitakoe or Yasin means. Well, it does for me. Outdating religion by 2 million years, animism is the world's oldest belief system. And for me, all that represents is equality with all things that live, grow. Respect of all things that live and grow in this physical third dimensional reality. They're all sentient. Everything is sentient, including us, and that's the energy that is harvested in order that we may physically live. The sentient energy of another being, whether it be a carrot or a cow, pig, lamb, this, that, and the other, cauliflower. We harness the sentient energy of another sentient being in order that we may live here in this physical reality. And in doing so, we face a moral dilemma. And it is best understood by what we are taught from what I was taught from the Lakota. You know, if you're going to take from nature buffalo, berries, whatever it is, then only take what you need, leave some on for others to come along afterwards, and nature will continue naturally. But as I look and study, especially when I look at there are no forests on Earth, and I think about the reset, Tartaria, Mu, Lemuria, Atlantis, etc. Think about all those resets. Where have the resources that is quite plain to see have been harvested by cutting away at the breast of Mother Earth? We still do it now, digging out her diamonds and this, that and the other, minerals, lithium being the latest one. Where does it go? Where do these things go? Yes, they go into our products, and then they go back into the earth. Eventually, it all goes back to the earth. Think about that for a minute. Think about that for a minute. How all that we take from the earth eventually goes back to the earth, with the possible exception of gold. Again, you look at the story of the Anunnaki, those that from heaven to earth, space to earth came down to seek that resource to take back with them to heal their own planet. And these people are revered as gods. They come in different names now, but they're revered as gods in your Bibles and in your holy books and this, that and the other. And think about it deeply for a minute. If they fuck their own planet up, look what they're doing to ours and getting us to do to ours. No doubt in my mind, witnessing what I'm witnessing today with poisoning the water, poisoning the air, poisoning the food, they've probably done that themselves on the Nibiru, which is their planet, so we're told. And think about that deeply for a minute. Think about that deeply for a minute. If they'd done that to their own planet, which necessitated them coming outside of their planet to harvest the resources of another planet to heal their planet, where the fuck are we going to go? When we get into that situation, and we get into it closer and closer, and I'm a firm, and I'll use this word with all good intention, firm believer in this earth, Gaia, Inimaka, Sophia, every now and again shakes everything and everybody off to try and heal herself. Firm believer in that as well, because I see the evidence of it. Where are we going to go when we've completely and utterly fucked up? Which I'm sure we have. or human beings, mankind, not perhaps mankind, but certainly human beings have done over many millennia. And then there has to come some sort of reset to wipe away the memories of the past and to start anew. It's either forced upon us by those that rule and control us, or Mother Nature takes over and forces it upon us. These stories that we read and see, like the flood, this, that and the other, yes, they may have some basis in fact, but is the fact outside intervention or divine intervention? It's a philosophical question, as this whole presentation is, my whole channel is. But everything on my channel, the more I get into it, the more I'm guided by my higher self or those outside of me that inspire and enlighten me in the seen and the unseen, the heard and the unheard, wherever it comes from, is going towards personal responsibility. And if there is any semblance out there in the land of the internet of mankind that is listening to me and resonating with me, then let's come together. Let us physically take on the responsibility of cleansing and purifying bit by bit those that would cause harm, loss or injury to another, to seek control, have control over another, this, that and the other. When we can prove that, I will be the Albert Pierpoint of the day. I will take on that karmic debt for all. For all. I'm quite happy to do so because I have an awareness and an understanding of what karma is, what natural law, L-O-R-E, is, L-O-R-E, and universal law is, L-O-R-E. And I'm aware of that which we're told governs us here. Common law, L-A-W. I'm more than happy to stand under those principles, not just for humans, but more importantly in the physical for mankind, and for that which is beyond this physical third dimensional reality. I have no conceptual belief in hell as we're taught it. So I have nothing to fear because I offer myself in that position with humility, with integrity, and with awareness of universal law to, in my own way, restore the natural balance and equilibrium of human beings back to mankind, of spirit back to soul, of soul back to source consciousness. It's all right raising your voice about Allah, Bill Gates, the jabs and everything else. It's wonderful that you can see the injustices of all that's going on. But if you do nothing about it, then you're impotent impotent, impotent. You couldn't give a fuck. Or you were in fear. It's time to man up. And know thyself. Nobody ever show me the proof of where somebody from outside this earthly realm has ever come to save all of mankind. They haven't. The people that we're told, like Jesus and Buddha, Krishna, this, that, and the other, they may well have tried in a different part of the world, this, that, and the other. But the only people that have come from outside this physical third dimensional realm to have an impact on this third dimensional realm has been to the detriment of those within this third dimensional realm. Wherever I look throughout history, and you know, I write in my description box, I ask you to send love, light and good intention to the temple of Seti at Abydos, because I know, I have an awareness that 6,024 years ago, there, nearly 6,025 years ago, a portal was opened, harnessing the energies of those pyramids and everything else there, the circuit board that was there. A portal was open to allow dark and nefarious, demonic, satanic, spiritual beings into this reality. It happened before and it's happened since, and it will keep happening until we man up, until we transcend the mind and the ego, until we transcend the spiritual self to the conscious self, to the true self, to the soul that is source consciousness, and know that we are gods and we can change and this reality and restore it to its natural state. Nobody from outside of us has ever come and done that. They've shown us the way, and all we ever do is get down on our knees to them and cry for them to return. Why the fuck should they return if they've already told you, if they've already shown you the way, illuminated you with the light, the Lucy, shown you the way, the knowledge, the fur? You are the Lucifer that can defeat Satan, the shadows, the demons, this, that, and the other. Jesus was the light and the way. He told you that. And he was tempted by Satan in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he never fell for his tricks. But we do. We fall for the tricks because we keep voting in Satan in all its various forms. We keep bowing at Satan's altar every Sunday, every Saturday, or whenever we bloody do it. We go to Satan for cures, and all he does is treat us with his medicines. We feast at the trough of Satan with his foods, this, that, and the other. Because it's true, in 2 generations we've lost the ability, that ability, to grow our own and whatever. There's a few people doing it and showing you the way. Doug and Stacey and the Barefoot Mimosa and loads of others, Wild Minds, this, that and the other. Plenty of people out there showing you the way. But do you listen? No. Back to the darts, back to the football, back to the snooker, back to the telly, back to the bread and circuses and whatever. We've got to evolve, people. We've got to evolve with integrity and with humility. Stand in our power and bring down all that holds dominion and control over us. Be it your parliament, your congress, whatever it is, wherever you are. If life isn't worth fighting for, then what is the point of living other than to be a power source, a battery for those that keep you enslaved in fear and in ignorance? Does it make sense, what I'm saying? Does it make sense? Because if it doesn't, then whatever I or anybody else says to you, then the eyes are useless when the mind is blind. You think your mind and your ego is the be-all and end-all. And you'll stand under your belief system, ignorant of the fact that it's just a control mechanism over you. And you have no control over it if you keep bowing down to it. You have to fight your greatest enemy first, which is yourself. And you have to still the mind, quieten the ego, transcend the spirit to the true self. It's the hardest road you'll ever walk. And so few walk it. So few walk it. In the great history and scheme of things, so few walk it. Otherwise we wouldn't be in the mess we're in today. And if you don't think we're in a mess, then I would ask if you have a soul. If you have no sense of care or empathy for what is going on in your country, in your world, then you must be soulless. Never mind the 144,000. What about the millions and millions that are potentially soulless, NPCs, whatever? I challenge you to ask yourself the question, if life isn't worth fighting for, then what is the point of living? One of the great things I learnt from the Lakota people is how can you own the land, the air, the water, this, that and the other. And they were wiped out, and if you follow what history teaches us, they were wiped out, and then white European settlers went out to conquer the West, how the West was won. They took with them sticks with a flag on it or something, piece of white cloth, and they claimed a piece of the land. Their masters said, go and claim a piece of land. And then what did their masters do? They taxed them on that piece of land and told them they have to have permission to do this, that and the other on that piece of land. We got to do away with all that, people. Do away with all that. We have got to come to resonate and stand in the principles of universal, natural and common law, and acknowledge them and defend them, where you can do whatever you want as long as you're not causing harm, loss or injury. And if you are, then the rest have to stand up against it. That's what we don't do. We don't stand up. It's not easy to stand up when you're sitting on your sofa watching the telly and all those hundreds and hundreds of channels, films, sport, this, that and the other. It's not easy to stand up, is it? The revolution won't be coming from a leader. The revolution will come when we learn to lead ourselves. And it won't be a revolution. It'll be evolution. Evolution. That RE simply means to do it again. That which has already been done. It's evolution. We need evolution. Not revolution. We got to evolve past the need to be ruled over. We got to take personal responsibility. Whatever words, deeds and actions are ours, we're free to express them. We're not free to escape the consequences of those words, deeds and actions. And that's all we have to know. Your moral compass should not be dictated to by anything outside of you or anyone. Anyone, rather. If you look at nature, nature will guide you with your moral compass without a shadow of a doubt. But people won't. You've got to come to your own awareness, your own understanding of what it is to be just, what it is to be truthful. That is probably the hardest thing in a world full of lies. But I am living proof that you can get there. You got to see through your own lies before you can really acknowledge the lies outside of you. There is no greater meaning or purpose to life than finding out that which you truly are and not what they've told you to be. If life isn't worth fighting for, then I ask you, what is the point of living? Answers on a postcard, please. And man up. What you're not changing, you're choosing. Not just today, not just last week, last month, last year. Not just tomorrow, next month, next year. What you're not changing, you're choosing. Not just this lifetime, other lifetimes behind you and those yet to come. You always had the power, and you keep coming back here to realise the real lies that you always had the power. If this message resonates, share the message. Don't share me. Share the message. Stop feasting at other people's tables and furnish your own with truth, with knowledge, with integrity, with humility, with empathy, with care, and with love. For the self first, for those that you profess to love next, and then for all mankind, and even the humans in it. Palamia, thank you. In Lakesh, in you I see another me. Mitakoi o Yasin, we are all related, we are all relatives. I tell you, we're all connected. Share the message, don't share me.